Looks like I'm recording on the bench tonight. We have an old piece of equipment, something that I've had for 6-7 years. This is my very first Razer Deathadder mouse. This is like the 3500 DPI version, so, you know, slow and pale in comparison to the newer versions of these mice. And the only reason it's on my bench is because it has now been broken for a little over 5 years. Back before I had some better soldering equipment like my 951, my Heiko FX 951 station, I had an older, not so good station. Normally this mouse comes, it has this back plate that's got a see-through area with snakes behind it, and that usually lights up green. It's like the factory, comes from the factory green, with green LEDs, and I wanted to mod it a while ago, so I wanted red LEDs for this and the mouse wheel, because the mouse wheel glows too. I mean, you could tell this is an older one. I wanted everything to be red, so I took this little LED board that lights up the snake on the back of the mouse, and I changed the LED from green to red because I had an old NZXT case and I had red LED fans in it, so I wanted the mouse to match that theme. So I decided to mod it. Well, you know, I was much more inexperienced and less patient, and so I started soldering on these boards and actually ripped pads. And so I ran some jumper wires to get the LEDs to light back up, in which it worked, but when I ran the jumper wires, for some reason the LED for the mouse wheel wasn't very bright. It was pretty dim and I didn't like it, so I tore the mouse apart, and I told myself that maybe my future self will be much more advanced and skilled at soldering after a bunch of practice, and in the future I can fix it. Well, you know, fast forward 5 years later, here I am now with taking it out of the big Ziploc bag that it was in, and I decided to fix it. The mouse works. It's just the LED on the mouse was dim, and also I wanted to rectify something else that I don't understand. It's weird. Is Razer decided to use this really hard ribbon cable. If my camera would focus. Not gonna focus tonight. Hello. Focus. Focus. Yeah, decided to use this hard ribbon cable. It's not very flexible. They used it to join this board, which is the bottom board, which has the has an LED, which is funny because they don't call this a laser mouse, do they? Nope, this is an infrared, so they use lasers now. But this is an infrared LED version, so you know it's old. They don't use infrared LEDs anymore, they use lasers. And pretty much, I think all mice, I mean, I'm not sure, I've got a bunch of newer mice, like I've got a Razer Deathadder Chroma, another Razer Deathadder, I've got a Corsair, I don't know, I'm taking my watch off. I've got a Corsair mouse, RGB, that are much better than this old thing, but I was feeling kind of nostalgic and thought I could fix it, and I didn't even really want to throw it away, and I thought it would make a good video to just show that the PCBs that Razer uses are very low quality, and if you don't have the proper soldering equipment, you can easily rip pads, as I can demonstrate on the It's part inexperience on my part. I'm going to switch over to the microscope camera. But it's part inexperience on my part back when I was younger, 5 years ago, and now. On this little daughter, or this little board that has the LED on it. Let's see if I can focus this. But as you can probably see, I pulled the pads off. I ripped them up. So they're not in good shape, but I mean the LED still lights up and it still works. So this is an old mouse, so I'm not really going to bother to fix that. I mean I could. I put some super glue on here to kind of try to keep the LED from bouncing around too much and fully removing those pads. But yeah, as you can see those pads have ripped up like almost completely. It looks horrible, but you know it still works, and I'm not too fussed about it because I'm probably only going to use this mouse to test things with. But I figured I'd get it put back together and get it running and get it out of my project. I have a small projects box where projects go to die, like kits that I haven't put together, or toys for my kids that I haven't fixed. So I'm just trying to whittle down the box. Anyway, I went ahead and desoldered this ribbon cable because these wires are very flimsy. You can see, like, let me see if I could focus, but you can see a lot of those wires are breaking just from taking the mouse apart. There you go. Yeah, you can see all the silver. That's like the outer wires. Yeah, all these are outer wires that are breaking, and it didn't take very many movements back and forth from moving these PCBs back and forth. I just think this is a crappy design. Using this cable is like really rigid, so I went ahead and found some 24 gauge wire. Not super high quality, but it's very flexible, so those solder joints shouldn't break. This is very flexible silicon wire, so it should be very flexible and be higher quality than this. Because I mean, when you're opening the mouse and you take the two boards, because they basically sit like this. They basically sit like this on top of each other. And when you're pulling the mouse apart and you're bending these things like this to take them out, that's why I took it out in the first place, because a bunch of the top pins snapped, so I had to take it out anyway and desolder it. So I've always wanted to fix that flaw, so I'm going to use some of this nice wire, 24 gauge, real flexible. I'm just going to cut some equal strands. That's the only thing that's going to be a bit tedious about this, is there's 10 pins, but figured I got time. I'm not in a rush, so I can just cut 10 even pieces of wire and just make it a little nicer. I might throw like a cable tie or something, or throw some heat shrink on it to like kind of keep them together. But I'm gonna make them as long as this. I'm gonna make them. Oh, that camera's not on. I'm gonna make them as long as this ribbon. It's about 2 inches. So I'll just make a bunch of 2-inch pieces about that same size, and then I already started. I desoldered the LED that points to the mouse wheel, and I'm in the process of rebuilding the traces, because like I said, when I did it before I ripped, God, that is really close. Can I zoom away or go up higher, or what's going on here? I want to be that close. Anyway, what I was saying was, I want to fix those traces. So I can zoom in just a little bit better. So that, to me, that's perfect. There we go. Yep, you can clearly see I started scraping away some of the coating. Like right here, there used to be a copper pad or a through hole well, not through hole because it's only on copper on this side, but there was copper here running to this test point. And then I figured out now that this wire runs here to this test point. You know, hindsight 5 years ago, I didn't realize that I could have ran jumpers. I could have avoided ripping these pads and just ran jumpers all the way across here, ran a jumper here, and just left the LED right here. Instead, I ran wires from here all the way over to two of these pins here that had the proper voltage I measured. One of them was ground and the other one, or negative or whatever, ground, whatever. And the other one had 2 volts or whatever on it, or 1 volt. When I didn't realize until now, you know, back then I didn't know that I could just ran 2 small wires here and just glued the LED. It's on this little base with little pegs on it. You can see the little plastic pegs. I'm just gonna throw super glue on those and glue it in place, and then I'll just build 2 little traces and run the LED wires right there, and it should be brighter. So anyway, I figured I would just show you what I'm doing here. The hard part is going to be cutting these wires, so I think I'm going to switch off the microphone camera right now, and I'm going to go ahead and cut all those wires. See if my overhead's going to work, or if it's going to be disagreeable. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to take some of this wire. I need like 20 inches of wire, and this I just measured in this. Each of these strands are like 11 inches, so you know, 2 inches, 10 wires, that's 20 inches. This is 22 inches, so I should have plenty of wire. This is all the 24 gauge wire I realized that I had. Everything else is 22 and bigger. So I have like 22, 20, 16, 8 or 18, 16, 14, 8, 10, 4 gauge. Like, but I don't have anything lower than 22 gauge. Like, this is the only 24 gauge wire I have. It was actually a fan extension, like a Y extension for PC fans, and I just cut the ends off. I have the ends here. You can see I cut the ends off. Nice 24 gauge, and I have like 4 or 5 of these Y splitter things, so I figured I'd just sacrifice one. Anyway, I'm gonna do some precise measuring here. And it doesn't matter if I don't have enough wire to make 20 black wires. I'll make 1 yellow one, I don't care. Because it's going to be in the mouse. No one's going to ever see it. I just wanted to make sure I used the proper gauge wire. I had 22 gauge, but it's too big for the holes in the PCB. The wire wouldn't fit through. So I was looking around, and this is all I had. But this will work. I'll just take a little bit of heat shrink. I'll solder onto one board, and then I'll put some heat shrink tubing. It's either that or I'm just going to do a zip tie, because the problem is I'll have to do one strand and then go to the board and at a time. And if I put them in heat shrink, I'm not going to be able to... Well, that's not true. You know what I could do? What I will do is I can solder one wire, put it in the heat shrink tubing, solder the next wire to both. Just put in the heat shrink tubing. I just do one at a time. That's going to be slightly more tedious than I want, but oh well. So what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so there's 5 wires. So I should be able to get 10 out of this. Out of these 2 black wires. I figured black would match the theme of the mouse, so as you can see, I'm cutting 10 even pieces, and then I'll strip them on both sides with my wire strippers, and then we'll start soldering. It's just a bit laborious, but it's something I wanted to do for the past 5 years, and figured why not. We're on holiday break, so if this video is not popular, it's okay. I'm just having fun. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. I should have. Yep. So they're going to be roughly pretty much the same size. Yeah, those are 10 wires. And then, yep, we got about 2 inches left. So an inch and an inch. Perfect. And then we're going to take our strippers. I already did a test strip. And I think that should... Oh, you can't even see that. Ooh, hairy knuckles. That should be about long enough, I would think. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and just strip the ends off both sides. There's one. I mean, some people might find this tedious, but I find it fun. It's kind of exciting to the prospect of fixing an old mouse that you've had sitting in a bag for 5 years. And see those LEDs light up. Did I cut that one long enough? All it has to do is go through the hole to get soldered. Yep, that's great. That's actually a good length. I might even be stripping these other ones too long. I just need 1/8 of an inch. Stripped off to get through the board. I think this is the reason, this right here is the reason why I was avoiding fixing this mouse, was having to do this. I wasn't looking forward to it. I actually looked on eBay for some replacement ribbon cable. Thought maybe I could just replace the ribbon cable, but stripping ribbon cable is not fun. You can see I started stripping this end of the ribbon cable. I started stripping this end of the ribbon cable, and as you can see, I can do it, but it's not fun. And these wires are very, they're just so stiff and flimsy. It doesn't take anything to, I mean, you move this thing back and forth 10 times and they'll snap. But at least this wire, it's real pliable, and so that takes a lot of stress off the solder joints. If the wire itself, the majority of the wire can move around, that takes a lot of stress off the solder joint, to where that is like really stiff. And so we're giving the old mouse an upgrade. Mod. Well, this thing was, been modded because I took the green LEDs out because I thought it was I think they weren't green, they were blue. Yeah, I think they're blue, and I didn't like them. Yeah, they were blue. I think the original mouse came with blue LEDs. I want to say blue or green. I don't remember. No, it wasn't green. It was blue. Because 2013, my 2013 edition, which actually came out later, has green, just solid green, and my chroma obviously is RGB. Oh dang, did I do that? Oh, did I strip all? I think I messed those ones up. I'm gonna have to strip a little more off there. I cut a bunch of the strands. Whoop. I just pulled a strand all the way out. That's not good. Alright, we're going to throw that piece away and we'll do another one in a different color. That didn't work too well. Somehow, I clipped like, there's only 7 strands of wire in here or something. And I managed to rip like 3 of them. So, I went to pull on one and the whole wire came out of the sheath, or sheathing, whatever you want to call it, casing. Yeah, this is very tedious. I know. I was hoping this video wouldn't be like an hour long, but it's probably gonna be. Oh, dang! I ruined that one too. Shoot. I want these to kind of be the same length. Maybe I'll strip just a little bit more off. That'll work. I kind of want these to be the same length too, so it's not a pain to bend the board. Some of them, most of them work. Some of them want to be a bit difficult, like that guy. I just pulled another wire out. I mean, is that going to be the end of the world if I use that? Probably not, because it's like low voltage and it's like data and stuff, so probably won't be the end of the world if that's missing a strand. I'll just lift that, or leave that anyway, because I'm gonna solder those and trim the wires anyway. So how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll need one. We'll just do a red or something. We'll just do one red. Why not? As the rest of the wire falls on the floor. I am using the wrong gauge of wire strippers too. These are 22 gauge. Should work, still work, but go. Alright. So there's our 10 wires stripped and ready to be soldered. So I'm going to go ahead and twist all of the wires so it's easier to get down in the holes for soldering. And then I'll solder them on the bottom PCB, because then I can get that, or get the top one soldered in as well. I gotta remember how this mouse went back together. It's like I said, it's been 5 years since it's been broken. I've had it for 10 years at least. I've probably had this mouse for 10 years. But it's been out of commission for 5 plus. I want to. It's good practice to build traces on PCBs that are like not very good quality. They're not like Apple PCBs where it's like really hard to rip traces on on MacBooks. Maybe not iPhones or anything or iPads, but on MacBooks, logic boards is like it's really hard to rip pads on those. I mean, I don't think I've ever ripped a pad on any of the machines I've fixed. MacBooks, I've ripped pads. Like obviously, I ripped the pads on this because I had a not so good soldering iron, and I was impatient and wanted to get it fixed like immediately, and lost my patience and ended up ruining it. So I think I'm just gonna use the poke hole method and then just solder each one. Let me go to microscope. We're just gonna go to microscope view. I don't even know if soldering this on the microscope is gonna be good or not. Alright, so there's our... Oh my gosh, that is horrible. That's so out of focus. And, oh man, the exposure on that is ridiculous. Why do I have auto exposure on? Come on. I gotta open Amscope X and see if I can dial down the exposure. I think the Amscope software is mad at me because I turned the camera off. Well, that's a little too dark. Oh, it's still horrible. Ew. That's good, I guess. So, I think I'll use my Kester flux on this since not my Amtech. Put a little Kester flux there. No clean liquid flux. Go ahead and solder that. Oh, I didn't even push the wire all the way through. There we go. Want to make sure the wire is all the way through the board. Add a little more solder to that. There we go. It'll work. I still don't like this. Do auto exposure. Alright. There's one wire. Now 9 more. This is going to be tedious. How does that look? Yeah, that's got enough, I guess. Can you see that? Is that? Better? Worse? I feel like I'm an optometrist. Yeah, it'll work. I mean, once I put the mouse back together, these wires are going to be stationary for the rest of their lives. I like how flexible this is, though. Dude, this is hard to do in a microscope. This is so hard to do in the microscope. There, now you can see. Dabble a little tiny bit of Kester on there. See if I can hold still. I'll bring it down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Stay. I don't know if this wire is going to stay while I solder. I may have to hold the board. This is going to be delicate here. Yeah, it's like hard to touch the... There we go. Oh, nice and blurry. Sorry. There you can kind of see my wires, my solder job. It's nice and shiny. Not going anywhere. Alright. Number 3. Cruising right along. See what I'm doing here. We go. Get our Kester again. Just give it a little light touch. I just want a little bit of flux. I don't need an obscene amount because these wires are so tiny. Only part is getting this at an angle here. And of course, the solder's got to be at an angle too. There we go. Good. Happy with that so far. Nice, clean, conical, shiny joints. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Alright, we'll keep going. Like I said, this is 34 minutes yet. This is probably going to be an hour-long video, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'm having fun. If I really wanted to be a professional, I could get my pan of ice out. But you know what? This is how I learned to solder, so pan of ice is kind of cheating. Sizzle, sizzle. Yeah, blurry. I think we're just gonna have to deal with the fact that the most of this is gonna be blurry. And it's not because I don't care, but I don't care. This is gonna take forever. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. No, not really. It's not bad. We're almost halfway there. This next wire will be halfway done already with these. And then all we really need to do is solder them onto the other board. But I think I'm going to fix the traces on that other. Fix the traces on that board for the LED first. Before I do the rest. That's weird. That's like, I haven't heard my Kester sizzle like that before. We got 5 nice wires here so far. Let's keep it going. Seems like the more wires I put in, the easier it is becoming to do this. The easier it seems that this thing wants to stand up, except for this wire is being difficult. Maybe a little bit more. Solder's not bent, so I can't get around There we go. Very nice. I mean, those things aren't bumped all the way up against the board, but that's not a big deal. This is all low voltage, like data and stuff. Besides, this is like a 10-year-old mouse that I had trouble letting go of, admittedly. Like I said earlier, by today's standards, this mouse is a relic. I would not be using it to play Call of Duty Cold War. But for shopping for Christmas presents and going on Amazon, it worked perfect. And the best part is I'll be keeping something out of the landfill or out of the e-waste bin. Maybe it'll work for another 10 years. I'll give it to my kids. Of course, by the time they get old enough to appreciate something like this, there's not going to be mice. Probably moving things with your brain. We're going to adjust that one. I don't like that. There we go. I'll definitely be going and nipping these ends off of these solder joints. See, look at that. That went so fast. We're already almost done. We're already almost done with this part. Then we'll be on to fixing the traces on the top board for the mouse wheel light. And I checked and there are red LEDs. There are red LEDs in there. And that's fine, I don't care. I might put a little more solder on that. That one doesn't look like it has quite enough solder on there. There we go. That's good. Yeah. Could tell I didn't do a great job of trimming all these leads to the same length, but that doesn't matter. I mean, is this something that I would offer as a service? Probably not, because I don't know a lot of mice out there that are worth, you know, what I usually charge to solder things. I was just feeling nostalgic and, you know, this is mine, and I rarely, if ever, fix my own stuff. Not that I can't, I just, there's no call for it, really. Boom. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and trim all these leads down a little bit. I don't like how long they're. Now that I think about it, putting these in heat shrink tubing would probably be a nightmare, so I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't really see a point. I don't really see a point in putting heat shrink on those. That's crazy how you can look in microscope under all this magnification and see just how messed up your cutters are. Yep, so my leads are just as short as the factory. Yeah, these wire cutters are in rough shape for sure. They've seen some action. They've attempted to remove strip screws and everything else. They've definitely seen their time in the battlefield. Hence why I have red tape on one of the handles. Yeah, I have red tape on one of the handles. That tells me that those ones are pretty beat up and not long for this life. Even though I use this nice flexible wire, I'm still going to be careful not to flex this board around like crazy, because I don't want to do this again. I want to fix this mouse and put it back together, never to take it apart again. It's going to live with red LEDs in it for the remainder of its existence. Yeah, I stripped the masking off these traces so I can run wires to my LEDs, to the legs. What I'm going to do is dab glue, dab some glue in here. Dab some super glue in this holder in the legs so it doesn't go anywhere. That'll kind of keep the LED in place too, hopefully. Since since the solder pads for the LED are gone. So yeah, there's that. We just pop some silver glue in there. We'll kind of let that dry. I have some activator I could spray on there, but I don't want to risk spraying it into my switch, which is right next to this LED. That seems like that's going to hold really well. Alright, and then we'll fix those traces, and then this is the receiving end of those 10 wires. So then we'll just rebuild those traces, put the LED on, rebuild those traces, then attach all 10 of those wires to this board, and then we can put this mouse back together. That'll be done. That's it. 5 years I waited to do this. Took me, with talking and everything, talking and stripping the wires, a whole 40. We're at 50 minutes right now. So about an hour it took me to fix this mouse. Though I've had it for 10 years. Well, I've had it for 10 years. It's been broken for 5. Yeah, I don't even know what I did. I had my soldering. I had a giant chisel soldering tip, and I just went crazy on these traces. I don't even know what I was thinking. I just heated them up so much that they were not happy. So I'll run my wires, my little wires, and then I'll I'll conformal code everything. What is that? Oh, I don't know. Luckily the LED's bent, the wires are bent. So they go something like this. Kind of like that. Pretty much. Yeah, and the mouse wheel. Let go. Sorry for the blurriness. So the mouse wheel goes in here. Like that. And the LED, you can see the LED points right at the wheel. God, what is all over this mouse wheel? It's like interesting. Weird. It's like grease or something. I don't know. I have to clean that with alcohol. We'll worry about that. Actually, I can take care of it now. Probably just the resin's breaking down or in the rubber or something. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool just to see this thing light up though and work. We're about, this is about an hour long video. We're in it. We're about 12 minutes away from being done with this. Just putting it back together. The reason I took this mouse apart in the first place, because it was kind of twofold. This switch is the left, well, you can't see because it's blurry. But this Omron switch here was the left switch, switch 1. It wore out, so when I'd click, it was no longer working, and so I had to take the mouse apart and replace this switch, which I did, and I figured since I had the mouse apart, I would change the LEDs too, because I thought it'd be simple, right? Yeah, turned out not so much. So, I mean, I modded it, and I messed it up, but I ran it this way for, whoa, what is that? Is that super glue? Well, that's not good. Well, this doesn't really matter. I ran it with the wires for, a few years before I decided I was going to fix it. I'm wondering if I should probably... Am I too late? What's going on here? Oh. Fix those traces, or tin those traces and stuff first, before I put the LED back in. Maybe that'll give that glue a chance to cure. Let me zoom in here. How's that? Can you see that? Yeah, that looks good. Cool. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put a little bit of flux on that and clean those pads up, or run some solder on there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to the Kester on this and not use my regular go-to, which is Amtech, because this is like it's so small and of a job, I mean. So we'll just quickly touch that. Maybe I will use Amtech. This stuff seems to melt away fast. Let's use a tiny bit of Amtech. I want to build some good strong joints here. And I'll conformal coat them too. Just to make sure those pads don't rip. My traces or whatever. Take my solder. Well, you can see those traces kind of lifting. That's okay, because we'll build. What we could do is we'll build those traces back all the way from them test points, and we'll run wires all the way along there, and then I'll conformal coat everything so they don't rip up. And the conformal coating that I have, the Mechanics UV solder mask, that stuff is strong. It's very good. That's very good solder mask. So yeah, 5 years ago, I never even have thought, hey, you can take some 40 gauge wire and run new traces, and you know, mouse will be just fine. Kind of want to turn this a little bit. There we go. So we're going to curve you. I'm actually going to take my X-Acto knife and we're going to manipulate your little self. Can you just focus for once? I'm sorry, I know this is a pain. Like, there's my new trace. All right, we'll do a little more flux here. Guess we'll work on the top one. Should probably get some more solder here. If you can believe this, all of this for an LED. For an LED that points to a mouse wheel. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Perfect. Then we'll just leave that long. We'll leave that long. When we put our LED, we'll just solder it to the leg. Do the same for the other one, and we'll clean it up, put some UV mask on there. And then we'll move on to attaching those 10 wires to the other board. And then we'll put the mouse back together and hope that it has an LED. And I did, yes, I tested the LEDs. They both work still. All right. That's you. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. This is awesome. I'm so happy that I'm fixing this the way I should have and that I do things nowadays. I mean, granted, yeah, it takes forever, but I think the end result is going to be so worth it. There's our other trace. I know it's kind of dark. This PCB is the mask on this PCB is black, so this makes it really hard to see what I'm doing. I hate the fact that I'm not a video expert. One of these days I'll get this figured out. Why do you default to 800 by 480? No, I want 1080p. Okay. Those are good and soldered. I'm thinking I'm going to clean this flux off now. Try to gently clean the flux off without disturbing our nice new traces. I don't really want to bend those wires too much because they are really thin. I think it'll be much better once I get them soldered to the legs of the LED. You can kind of see what I got going on here. I know it's not the prettiest soldering job in the world, but oops. Alright, take it easy on your new trace. You don't want to break that and have to run it again. Alright. Where's our LED? Alright, there's our LED. I'm going to kind of turn the board like this a little bit. Just go ahead and kind of bend this wire. Something like that. And I don't even know if all this is necessary. I just figured it might be a little easier to the solder. Okay. Let's see if I can't put some solder on these. All right, maybe I gotta turn it the other way. Since I'm right-handed, it's kind of a pain to see what I'm doing here. There we go. That looks solder to me. Kind of beating a dead horse there, but all right, we got those done. Like I said, that's not the prettiest job in the world, but you gotta work with what you got. So we're gonna clean this up as good as we can, because I'm gonna drop some conformal coating on here and kind of solidify those wires place. Freaking Q-tips leaving fibers behind. All right. What we could do just for fun is we can check the continuity. Check the continuity between those two test points in the legs of the LED and make sure that they're connected, that they're electrically connected. I know this step's probably overkill, but you know what? Like I said, why not? We're here. We're not going anywhere. So we've got great electrical connection. Cool. So that little trace rebuild job was a success. What is that? Liquid hanging out here. Is that more flux? I think the conformal coating will still dry even if there's flux there. But I just want to make sure that these traces are good. Probably could clip those LED leads down a little bit. In fact, I don't really know why they're that tall, but there. So kind of get them lower. Get them down below. Make it a little easier to clean. Bumped our trace a little bit here. Alright. I think I'm going to call that good and just conformal coat that and not mess with it anymore before I snap one of those wires and have to redo it. And I'm not even sure if this is going to do any good or not, but just an extra step that I like to do. Except I'm not getting it on where I want to get it. Plunger. What did you do for 2 hours? Oh, I fixed a mouse that I've had forever. Alright, that was a little too much. Whew, man, this stuff stinks. Oof, it's got weird chemical smell to it. I'm sure I'm ruining any of my chances at a Nobel Prize by sniffing this stuff. Not on purpose. A little bit of this stuff goes a long way. That's probably good. Alright, where's my UV laser? We'll go ahead and hit that with the UV light. It's UV activated, or yeah, UV light activated. Where's the top to my X-Acto knife? I always forget which drawer I leave my laser in. Alright, since I got the microscope, I'm going to try not to look at this directly. Because this is ultraviolet light. Come at it from the other side here. That's pretty much all it takes to cure this stuff. Just a little exposure to UV. Okay. That should be done. Yep. One thing I don't like is that these pins wiggle, but I mean when the mouse is together they're not gonna wiggle, and you know what, if it breaks, oh well. Alright. And now we will perform a marriage between these two boards with the wires. I might strip that one just a little bit more. And it does slightly look like I'm missing a couple of strands. Like I said, it probably doesn't matter. Like, I imagine I probably will never take this mouse back apart. Even if the right switch dies. Well, I mean, I could probably replace it without undoing these. I think the only reason these two boards were separated was because of the rigid nature of that ribbon cable. The wire started snapping, so I just completely snapped them off. Blurry. Ooh. Kester flux flows fast. Which one is it? 951, yeah. Hey, where are you going? Alright, there's one. Yeah, I'm not going to put heat shrink tubing on these. I don't need to. Just trying to get these soldered together alone is a pain in the butt. Oop. Don't want that happening. I don't want wires twisting, or I don't want strands of wires. Come on. You can go in there. Nope, I don't want that to happen. I want all the strands to go through. That's why this is taking forever. We're at an hour and a half. Nice 2 hour video of me putting a mouse together. But hey, come on. Where are you, little straggler? You need to go through that hole too. I don't want any strands sticking out. I can only imagine as I keep going, it's going to get harder and harder. Trying to fight. Okay. There's 2. Where's number 3? Literally all we have to do is clean the flux off this after we do these. Trim the excess wire. And then we're good to put this thing back together. See what it does. I got some new slides or feet for the bottom too. Well, I'm not going to put those on until I know the mouse works. Because you literally cannot reuse those things no matter how hard I've tried to peel those Teflon feet off. After putting them on, they do not like to come back off and be sticky anymore. I apologize for not if I'm soldering and you can't see what I'm doing, but this is not easy to do. I mean, this is easy to do, but it's not easy to do and pay attention to the microscope camera at the same time to see if I got a good shot. Don't you twist on me. There you go. You're a little short, so try to make sure. There we go. Cool. Yeah, we'll trim all those up. Yeah, I like what I did better than that ribbon cable. Because, I mean, I can sit here and wiggle this thing around for probably a day straight, and these wires are not going to snap off. They're just nice and flexible. And that ribbon cable is not. Oops. No, I don't like that. Come on. I realize how hard it is to twist 24 gauge wire. You don't want to cooperate, do you, little wire? Got one little strand. See him? A little strand that wants to be a stinker. Yeah, no. Probably could have tinned these wires first. That would be too easy. Alright, come on. There we go. Only took 6 tries to get that little wire to cooperate. Stinker. Quit moving around. Oh my goodness. This is such a pain. Come on. This freaking PCB wants to walk around on me. Like, I don't want you to walk around. I just want you to sit and let me solder my wires onto you and be done. Just want to put a little more. A little more solder on there. There you go. Alright, moving on. That little wire does not want to cooperate. Cool. Only a few more. We already got our traces built for LED. Got all that stuff put back in. Wires. Yeah, see how much trouble I'm having with 24 gauge? Like, imagine me trying to stick 22 gauge through here. Like, did not want to go. Grr. That's when you gotta have the most patience, right? Buh. Got that one wily little wire. He just does not want to go in. He wants to fight. Don't you dare come out. Cool. 3 more. Oh my gosh, this is an hour and a half. Long video. It's alright. Totally worth it to me, though. I've been wanting to fix this thing for 5 years, so. Time limit be darned. I see some missing strands on this one. I think we're gonna take a little more insulation off. Alright. Oh, dang it. Of course. You fall out and get bent up. I need every strand of wire I can get. Can't have stragglers. Whoa. This guy does not want to cooperate. Whoa. Jeez. Just barely bump him and he falls out. No, dude. You're staying. Staying put. Told ya. Ah. Do more. Oh. Nice. I got one that just cooperated. Wow. Alright. I'll take that. That one just went in without any fuss. That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how it's supposed to go. That simple. Alright, and last but not least, fancy little red wire that we had to redo. Yeah. If not for anything, this will be a good video for future generations. Like, look what we resorted to for entertainment. Taking a $60 mouse that has been messed with like 3 times. And then fixing it again. When it's probably not even viable. I'm just kidding. Mouse. You know I love you, that's why I'm trying to fix you. Boom. Done. Alrighty. Cool. Now, we gotta trim these leads and then we'll put this thing back together. Just want to kind of go for that uniform look. Like I actually cared what my soldering job looks like. Cool. Alright, now I'm clean all them joints up and then get this mouse put back together and we'll test it. Which means I'm going to have to unplug something. Because unfortunately, I only have 2 USB ports in my laptop. One of them's my microphone. Well, I could just unplug. I'll just unplug the overhead and all that. Oh no. I know what I'll do. Okay. Should I fix this LED? No, I think the traces are probably they'll hold. Overhead gonna cooperate. Let's see. Switch to overhead. Boom. Alright, let's see. I'll try to get this mouse put back together. So you have to bear with me, it's been 5 years since I've put this thing back together. Only got 5 screws. 6 screws. Okay. Now I know this is the bottom PCB, so this will go in here. This. Like that. Like that. I imagine these 3 long screws go to the bottom. Those are all the same size. So. I don't know how well this is going to work. It has no mouse feet on it, so I'm not going to put feet on it until I know it works. But there's my nice wire job. It's pretty, huh? I think it looks so much nicer than that stinking ribbon cable. All nice and flexible. There's our cord. Oh, okay. Won't let it completely unwind just yet. No, this is our LED that goes in here. Probably doesn't really matter which way it snaps in, does it? Yeah. Ouch. Okay. So there's that. He's in right. Sure. Is it going that way? Is it going this way? Yeah, that's the right way. Just like that. Got all the pieces. Yeah, I don't really remember which way that goes. No, that goes that way. You're gonna go like this. You're gonna snap in here. Alright, let's put the mouse or the top over here like this first. That goes there. Then I'm sure this has to go over here somewhere. doesn't go under it, does it? Does it go under the PCB? No, I don't think so. I think it just goes up here like this. What is this? Where does this go? Yeah, that's one thing I don't remember. Huh. I feel like I'm getting close. Oh no. Did I solder this on backwards? Shoot. Oh, balls. I did. No. What did I do? Because the switches are on this side. Hmm. Oh. Never mind. Just bend it over like this. Yeah. Alright. That's fine. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure I soldered this correctly. How does this thing fit into the whole scheme? Or does this even go to this mouse? I have a feeling this thing doesn't even go to this mouse. Or does it? Because I don't see a place for it. Or, oh, oh, that's right, it goes underneath there. Not a big deal. I think it goes on the bottom of there. Yeah, okay, I see now. Yeah, that's okay, not a big deal. You see, I don't want to edit all this out. I want you guys to see my struggles, see everything that I do. So this goes underneath. Yeah, like this. Or like this. Or do you go like this? No. You go like this. You sit like that. Yeah, you sit like that. And the PCB goes over you. Aha. Yep. That makes sense. Cool. It was like fitting a jigsaw puzzle together after 5 years of not solving it. Haha. And then you go like this. You go like that. Yep. And then my mouse wheel goes in here. Like that. And then you go in here. Somehow. Or should I say? Yeah. You gotta have the mouse wheel in here before you flip it over. Because it has to go in this. Be helpful if I could see what I'm doing. What is going on with this switch? Why are you blocking me? There we go. Being a stinker. Oh, darn it. Oops, I forgot something else. Alright. Getting too excited here. Make sure this thing goes back together correctly. Got a little DPI selector switch we forgot to put back. So you go there. A little DPI selector goes there like that. And now Come on. Crunchy, crunchy. There we go. Selector switch. Mouse. Scroll wheel. That. And now you gently placed where you need to go. That. Whoops. You get one screw there. Aha. And then the other one goes here. Like that. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. And now you get plugged in there. Oh. We didn't square board down, back down. 2 hours. Wow. Nice. 2-hour video on repairing a Razer mouse. That's awesome. But hey, you know what? This thing had a lot of work that needed to be done, so. Boom. Beautiful. We're going to go ahead and close her up now. After 5 years of being in pieces. Boom. And you know what? I could hook it up to my PC behind me and just unravel the cord because it'll reach. I really don't want to unhook. I don't want to unhook anything. And there it is, one Razer mouse put back together. Okay. This back needs to be replaced. It's all sticky and worn out. Gonna go back on. It's like pins or holes or that. Oh, that didn't work out too well. Shoot. Nope. Looks like you got it. Come on. Come apart. Good grief. Okay. Push this down. Pull back. There you go. Cool. Alright. Turn some lights off and see if we have some red LEDs or if we don't. And if it works. Look at that. Beautiful. Nice and bright. And does it work? I can't tell. The red, the red, or the red and everything is not good on my camera right now. Let's see. Color adjustment, saturation. Oh, never mind. I can't adjust that. That's But look how beautiful red that is. See, that's what I was originally going for. That thing is nice and bright red. It doesn't. You can't tell. It looks pink. It looks pink in this video. It looks. It doesn't look great. It looks dumb. What about this one? This camera? Yeah, but that's the bad thing. This camera's not doing this any justice. It's beautiful. It's like awesome red. It's so cool. I'm so happy. 5 years and 2 hours. A 2-hour repair video. But yeah, when I ran those jumpers originally, this light was really dull. It's nice and bright now. And that LED in the back is so bright. But I'm not changing it. This thing is staying the way it is. Besides, I'm going to get a new back because the back rubber is like sticky. But I think you can buy replacements. But yeah, there's my mouse fixed. Awesome. That is so cool. After 5 years, fixed my first Razer mouse. Oh, you can actually see the LED. It's an infrared LED. Look at that. Nice. Pretty cool. Yep. It's working. I'm looking at my PC over here. Cool. Very cool. Alright, well. I'll put some, put the new feet on it. So that's what this package is right here. It's brand new mouse gates or mouse feet for a Razer Deathadder. So what I'll do is I'll clean up these things with alcohol, and I'll put the new feet on it, and I'll get a new back, and this thing will be ready to go back to being in service. I'm so excited. So nice. This thing has had a lot of miles on it. Anyway. Yeah. Cool. I'm happy. This makes an interesting video to me. So, yeah, if you enjoyed that, found it entertaining, give me a thumbs up, and I apologize that the video is 2 hours long, but you know, sometimes that's what it takes to get things fixed. So, hope you enjoyed this. I'll move OBS over here so it looks like I'm looking at the bottom camera. Or the... Alright, what just happened? Grr. I put scope over here. You go over here. The mouse will come in handy when I get my new desktop built for my streaming. like I said, found this entertaining, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share. Thank you for watching. Take care.